this recording of Thomas Adès' violin concerto raises one intriguing question, which is, Tom, there is already a recording of the piece conducted by you with the violinist Anthony Marwood, for whom the piece was written. So the experience of working with Peter in Australia, you've performed the piece with him, and Andrew's the conductor, thinking about what the value of Tom's own recording is. What's the sort of network of relationships there, all of you? Any of you? Andrew?
Of course, I listened to the recording. When it first came out, I heard it because I was very interested to hear what this concerto was sounding like, and I've heard it a lot over the months. But as it came to working on the piece with... Oh, this is getting too loud. Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's probably got Irvin RDT in it.
I think the question was okay, so if you
yes. Of course, I knew all along a recording exists by Thomas with Anthony Marwood. I heard it as soon as it came out, and I've heard it many times maybe, but I found as I got to know the piece better from looking at the score, I listened less and less. I generally find that happens naturally because you become more, you're more hearing the sounds you're finding in your own head. And it's not to say I would reject or disregard, it's just that a piece of music, once it's left the composer's table, even if the composer's conducting it, you could argue that it's got a life of its own. It's out there, and it's growing, it's developing in other ways. And so I think it's great other people are doing it, and I hope many more people will do this piece, because it's a very fine piece.
Peter, did you feel free when approaching the piece then?
Yes, and of course one question to why do we need another, one answer I mean to why do we need another, I just had to record it. And I started working with Andrew through this piece because you heard I had played it and you asked me if you wanted to do it, and we did it together. And then we did the Norwegian premiere in the opera house, in the new opera house. And a week later, my agent called me and asked me if I could step on a plane to Australia 4 hours later to do it again with Tom in Melbourne.
It was that soon afterwards.
And I just packed my bag and went to the airport. I didn't realize it was a 30-hour flight. And then we met, and I was yes, and then I was even more intrigued by it. Oh, it was a great experience, crazy experience. And selfish as I am, I thought I just had to record it, and I love the piece, but I do the same. I try to not to listen too much to the other recordings, but it's...
Tom, I mean, how do you regard your recording?
I don't think I've listened to it since we released it, but not because I just don't. I mean, it's not, and the piece to me is something separate from that, and that was actually a performance, live performance with a little, I don't know, I think we might have done a retake or two, I can't remember. But it's absolutely just because I'm conducting it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. You can really also miss all sorts of things that somebody else's ears or approach will reveal in the piece. That's absolutely normal, I guess.
So Andrew, I mean, you're not consciously trying to find things that Tom hasn't found before, or Peter, you're not trying to think, well, I must play this differently than Anthony Marwood did. It's simply a case of coming to the piece as yourself, as musicians.
I think you just have to be very honest. There's no point in trying to do or trying to avoid anything. You just do what you believe is the right thing to do in that circumstance. And also, we've now, Peter and I have performed the piece with 2 or 3 orchestras, and of course they sound different. They produce different effects, which can be so interesting.
I myself performed it with a number of violinists, and one can even find recommending a certain bowing, for example, to the soloist, which somehow seems the right one for them, but for another soloist you might say something completely different because it's something to do with the whole way that the animals and things that you've created need to be recreated by the player. It's different according to them of all time.
Peter, what about, as if Tom and Andrew weren't here, the experience of working with both of them? Can you quantify what the difference is?
You mean as a conductor?
Yeah, I mean, what that gives to what they both bring as conductors to the performance.
Well, of course, for the rhythmical aspect of the piece, I guess for Tom it's like breathing air, you know. For the rest of us it's like quite difficult. And when we did it together, I was quite relaxed. I must, yes, in that sense, because I felt you could actually follow me through the difficult rhythms.
Yes.
And with Andrew we have and Andrew can of course as well.
Yes.
That's good to know. Yes.
No, but we have been living with this piece together for a while, and that's a very nice experience. I find just discovering different aspects of it and meeting different musicians, and it's been a very nice journey.
Was there a journey towards the rhythm, Andrew, of the piece for you?
Well, you know, I can read music and I can play the violin a bit, not like Peter, but I still found it very difficult to sort of hold on to him at times, to understand. It took me a long time. I must say I worked quite hard on this in order to get where I am, and I still feel I can go a lot further. It's very demanding music, but it's worth it. And you know, one reason for us to have recorded it is to spend more time with the music, and I'm very grateful that we did that.
And I have to add one more thing, because the first conductor, that was not Andrew, who I played it with, he said to me, I don't have a chance to read your part, you just have to follow me. So I mean, basically that's probably what a lot of conductors feel when they see the score, but he actually said it, and that's why when I met Tom it was like, okay, he knows it.
Needless to say, not in Tom's case, and of course not in the case of Andrew Manze in this recording, Peter. Peter, Tom, Andrew, thank you.